R.I.S.E report says, welcome to our Health and Healing Week. 2020 has been a year of triumph that we have all struggled with to overcome. This year, 2020, we says, welcome to a party with a purpose, the masquerade. We will present to you seminars such as physical health, emotional health, and domestic abuse. Sit back, relax, and quarantine with a purpose with us. Let's rise Shreveport.
Hi everyone. Right now we're going to talk about how COVID has affected a lot of people and their mental health within the past, really almost the entire 2020. People were already suffering from mental health issues, especially in the Black community, but I feel like COVID made it really worse because we're not interacting with each other. We're at home, we're kind of isolating ourselves. For people who don't normally isolate, that's a bad thing. And for people who typically isolate to get away from the pressures of life, now they have sort of an excuse to isolate more. You know what I mean? Does that kind of make sense?
You know what, I totally agree. And all that you're saying, I feel like this year has been really a rough year for us all. And with that being said, it's time to rise. So I want to give 3 tips on how to rise over the mental health dealing with emotion. You know, a lot of people are not able to bring out the emotion this year because some of people may want to hide it or keep it to themselves. So I really want people to rise over their emotions. So one way to rise over your emotions is being able to know that you're not alone. You know, I think a lot of people feel like they're alone dealing with circumstances that comes up. And I think one healthy tip is to really feel like that, hey, you're not alone in what's going on. It affected everybody, from rich to poor, from Black to white. COVID-19 affected everybody. So I think this year has really let people know, hey, it can happen to me, it can happen to you. So you're not alone in this. So I think that's one of the healthy tips that I can tell people about dealing with emotions. So what healthy tips do you have for them?
Ooh, since we're getting on the rise thing, I would say people need to learn how to rise up and say no. That is very important. You don't have to be perfect at everything. You don't have to show up and show out at everything. Sometimes it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, no, I need this time for myself, other than just trying to please others and trying to please society and the statistics and the self-image that a lot of people place on you. Yeah, so saying no, that's very important. And another thing is, I think is important, is delegating tasks. That goes with being a perfectionist. You don't have to be in control of everything all the time. If it's something that you need help with, I think it's important to get other people aboard. Family, friends, co-workers, colleagues, maybe even your supervisors or bosses. Say, hey, I need help with this. And I feel like that kind of also ties into the saying no, right?
Right, I totally agree. And I think a lot of people have a hard problem in saying no. So I think that's another healthy tip there, just learn to say no even through this process that we're going through. And you know, I was just thinking to myself, you know, a lot of people don't know how to have a routine built for themselves when something comes up in their lives. I know a lot of people this year, especially when everything got shut down, it just changed everybody's lifestyle. So with the COVID-19 and dealing with different things, I would give another tip is being able to set a routine for yourselves. You know, with me, when things got shut down, I hair up and got in my mind, hey, I need a routine. I can't go to work, I can't go do this, so I need to build a routine. I got up, started working out in the morning, fixed breakfast for the kids. I just started building a routine, even though I don't know how to cook, but I still had to think of something, you know. So I think
a little cereal in a bowl.
Well, yeah, they ate cereal, Pop-Tart. Yeah, they did that. I came up with a routine for them. So I think one of the biggest things is having a routine when things come up that will help with your emotions as well. Because when you have a routine, it kind of push back that emotion that's getting ready to come. You know, right now I'm in the process of writing a book, so I'm all the time just typing, doing different things, and my mind not even focused on what's going on around me because I'm focused on building up a goal for myself. So I think one of the biggest things is being able to build a routine.
All right, we have a question.
So in light of building the routine and COVID and rising up, my question is, in the midst of this, how do we allow ourselves to get rest? For me, because I go all the time, I kind of viewed this as an opportunity to kind of slow down.
Right.
So how can you help me kind of differentiate abusing this time as far as getting away from some of those social uncomfortable things and really just making sure I'm getting adequate rest and I'm not using this as an avoiding tactic?
I would say to get adequate rest, I would say that it's important to put self-care inside your routine. So self-care looks different for a lot of people, and due to COVID, a lot of people had to adjust their self-care. So I know me, my main self-care was getting my hair done, getting my nails done, those type of things. Now when COVID happened, I had to kind of adjust. So maybe I was getting my nails done, but I was at home doing it. And it was taking more time, but I was allowing myself to really feel the emotions and feel the rest and relax because I'm doing it on my own. Also, another thing can be something as simple as meditating, yoga, things that you can do at home, and things that are free or very, very, very low cost, because a lot of us, we were affected financially due to COVID. So incorporating that, your own personal self-care will allow that rest into your routine.
Yeah, and I totally agree to that. And another thing I would have to say concerning having a healthy tip, just dealing with emotions, is being able to stay positive. Yeah. So many people you have around you can be negative, and this year can show you how people can be negative. It can be with politics, with this coronavirus. So much negativity is taking place. So I would encourage people to stay positive, being able to speak positivity over negative. When somebody come up and say, "Oh, everybody losing their job. Oh, everybody getting sick." You speak positive. Say, "No, that's not happening to me.
Right.
I'm okay. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna be okay." Even though things may not be okay, really realistic, but you still stand positive, and you pretty much putting on, what can I say? You standing up for yourself against what people are saying, against what's taking place. So you have to stay positive, and whatever is going on around you, whatever people are saying, try not to get involved in that, because it will help you emotionally. Because a lot of people get emotion because of what's going on around them. So I definitely encourage people, to stay positive. That's my other tip there. I think I'm at 3 tips, so I'm done. What you got?
I'm gonna do 3 as well. And to kind of piggyback off of the staying away from negativity, limit your social media interactions. A lot of times,
that's a good one.
People have this anxiety, this depression, all this stuff related to this self-image that other people put on you. Get away from social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that you have to completely delete your account and all that stuff, because we live in the 21st century, but it's okay to turn off your phone, especially when you're taking care of yourself, you're taking a bath, you're meditating, all that type of stuff. Turn it off, or if you're not turning off, put it on airplane mode so you can, still listen to your music and kind of jazz out, but you don't have to be on those social media sites, because when you're on there, what are you doing? You're looking at this, you're like, oh, I wish I had this, or how can I get to this? You're putting those extra pressures on yourself that you really, honestly and truly, you don't need. And a lot of times, people be faking in line on their social media, and then you're on there, now you're like, oh, I want this, I want to be this, and it's a whole lie. Then when you get it, then now you have more anxiety, more depression, you really will have a poorer self-image than when you even started. So yeah, that's my 3rd tip. Limit your screen time on social media. Okay.
I heard you, both of you guys kind of make reference to being social out. Especially for men, that's how men deal with life. We go out to football games, we go to bars, X, Y, and Z. So what mental and or emotional health tip do you give now that social distancing is in place? We can't go to football games, we can't go to bars. So what can men do and or women do now for mental health and emotional health?
I will start off by saying interacting, dealing with those that's around you, let's say you going to church and you have that brotherhood, start being able to reach out with your brotherhoods there at the church, talking to them, doing a Zoom call, having something just set up where you have that brotherhood. So if you're not in contact with that, you build that friendship, you start, being friendly, trying to find that brotherhood, those who you can trust and talk to. So that's one of the main things, just being able to build that friendship with someone that you can trust, and being able to say, hey man, I need to give you a call, I need to talk to you about this. Hey, do a Zoom call if you can't come in contact. Just being able to do some type of Zoom meeting, whatever it takes, staying in contact, doing different things. Even doing a challenge on Zoom, because we as men, we like doing challenges. Get on Zoom and say who can lift the most weight, just see who get, just find creative things that you can do to stay in contact. Doing that, like I say, of course, dealing with sports, you have different sports that kind of help out, watching different things on TV, watching sports, doing different things like that. Just trying to be creative. That's what I would have to say for men's to being able to adapt to what we in right now. Just trying to stay engaged and finding different ways to do that.
Thank you for that. Staying on that same subject, I have another question relating to it. Before I can get to that point, how do I break the ice? Because usually, as you just stated, we as men are just generally joking. We ain't gonna tell you I'm going through a divorce. I ain't gonna say my wife done left me. Overall, how do we break the ice without saying let's go lift weights? How do I break the ice to have a serious conversation with somebody?
Well, that's good. First thing I would say is being able to find someone that you can really trust. I think a lot of people can't open up because they can't really trust different people. I feel like being able to build that mentor, or being able to be that person that you can really have in your life to open up. With me having a mentor in my life, I call him my spiritual father. I can actually go to him and open up to him because he have invested in me, where I can come out and open up and tell him different things that I may not tell everybody else. So most of the time, men can't really open up unless they have that true investment that hits them and be like, man, that guy really care for me. And now you can open up, because most men are not able to open up, which causes another man to be like, well, I ain't gonna tell that man what's going on with me, But once you start investing and then you really hit that spot where you can really trust that person, that's when a person can open up and say, man, listen, I'm going through this. Can you help me? And then that's where it all starts. So you have to build that trust. And I think that's not just with men, that's with anybody. Once you get that trust, you can open up with them, because, hey, if I'm finna go to the gym, we finna go work out. If I'm finna go play sports, play basketball with the guys, that's what we doing. We're not finna come and have therapy. But if something happens after that, we just got done playing a game or playing some type of sports, and you be like, hey, man, I need to talk to you for a second. I'm going through things with my wife here at the house. Can you help me with it? For him to do that, they built that relationship. So it starts back with relationship and trust for men to be able to open up with one another.
If I may, just to kind of piggyback on that, and this is just something that I've tried, if I can push, establishing a primary care provider. Because you may not want your inner circle to know, but you can set the doctor's appointment, and you can go in and you can say, I don't feel good today. And it may be something just that simple, that 20-30 minute appointment saying, I don't feel good today. You're in a privacy setting, you're comfortable, you're with someone that's there to advocate for your health anyway, and they may open the door to get that conversation out or get some of those feelings out. So establish yourself with a primary care provider, get in routine of setting those routine appointments, because you can go to your PCP and not say a word and they will know, so I think that's another tip too. If you just don't want to feel burdensome to your inner circle, I think that's a way to let it out and remain private.
Good question. I have another question. I was going to get to this, but she beat me to it almost. It's fine. When you're talking about emotional health, this deals with, I'll use this segue. Can a man raise daughters, and can a woman raise sons? That's controversial. Well, one thing I find positive in that is that women are just emotional creatures, so if nothing else, they can teach a man how to be more in tune with emotion and how to communicate. What are your tips and thought process as far as communication barriers? How do we improve those things? How do we change that to somebody who may say, I'm afraid to go to the doctor. I'm afraid to go to the doctor because I don't want to know my business. I'm afraid to go to a spiritual father. I'm afraid to tell my wife I lost my job. So how do we break, communication barriers, and for men and women? And I mean, that's just an emotional tip, because we struggle with those things,
Ooh, that's a tough one. I want to say the first thing to do is to get down to the why. You're gonna want to figure out why that person feels like there's an emotional barrier with, you know, their pastor, their preacher, their doctor, even their children or mothers and fathers. You want to get down to the why. Once you've kind of tackled the why, that'll kind of equip you with tools to know how to handle the situation, because every situation isn't the same. So you may have someone older like your father. A lot of times older black men, they don't like going to the doctor. They'll talk to their daughters, but they're not going to talk to their sons. And knowing that, you kind of know how to gauge and how to kind of attack the problem after you've understood the why and where the disconnect is. And to answer your first question about can fathers raise daughters and can mothers raise sons, my overall answer is yes. However, it takes a certain type of mother and it takes a certain type of father to raise that opposite sex individual. If you have a father he doesn't have to be 100% in tune with his emotions, but at least if he's trying to figure it out. I feel like he has just enough in him, just enough power in him to relate to his daughter. And the same thing with the mother. Overall, we're emotional beings. So I feel like that aspect, as long as the person's willing to try, as long as they're emotionally okay, emotionally well, they'll be able to raise the opposite sex or even the same sex child. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of things take place in a community because a lot of people don't really have the tools needed. So if you have, that single mother raising those young boys growing up, she might not have all the tools that's needed, but if she has something instilled in her to raise those boys, I feel like that they're going to be brought up the way they need to. But I think a lot of it goes back to having tools and resources. If you don't have tools and resources, then that's going to really bring peer pressure on that parent trying to raise up kids, where they say, a mother say, well, you don't need your dad, I can raise you, but really that son needs that father, even though you have some that have brought up and they was raised up pretty well, but still deep down inside there's something that's missing there, because I feel like God created male and female, and they both have a role to play. And if they don't play that role like they need to, it's going to be something that's going to come in there and that's going to have some type of fracture there. So I think it plays a big part all around.
We had a question.
Not necessarily a question, but a statement. For me, I kind of challenge the stigma of that question. Can women raise men and can men raise women? I feel the answer is yes. And I believe if we took the stigma away from this baby mama, baby daddy thing, then we can really get into it. Because what if I became a widow? I would have to raise my son.
Right.
And I'm equipped, because I believe that if, God forbid, if my husband, was removed from our family, I believe spiritually that God would step in, he would intervene, and he would provide us with the tools, and vice versa. And then Will could probably attest to this, because he has girls and sons. Opposites attract,
Right.
We are innately who we are. So a man is going to be a man, and a woman is going to be a woman. And when we're transitioning, when I need that tough love, I'm going to naturally go to my father. So he will be equipped to raise me in that area and be my shepherd at the time, and vice versa. Because as men, you lean on your mother, because sometimes you need nurturing away from society. So I believe, yes, we can do it, because when we're called to do it in that season, we'll be equipped.
That's a perfect answer. I like that.
That's a very valid point, and one of the reasons why I stated that, and I agree, I think that is true. However, I must say this, a lot of times when we get older and we become married, a lot of our issues is because we were raised in unhealthy homes.
Right.
And so once we get married, and that's one of the things people need to realize. I think Kimberly is a beautiful ex-wife. I want to date her, but I know nothing about her upbringing, because eventually her upbringing comes out. And so if I'm brought up in a destroyed home, then eventually I'm going to be a destroyed wife or a husband for the most part. So those things matter. So those things as far as communication and raising kids and learning how to be emotional intact plays a huge part. So one of the tips, you want to give out is, be cautious, be intentional about who you're dating for the most part, be intentional about your jobs for the most part. And it's okay to say I need help. And who cares who laughs at you for the most part? We're in the 21st century, and so we don't have to be afraid of anything because for the most part we have everything at our fingertips. So don't be afraid to take a chance to move forward, and as you stated, let's rise.
Right, and if I can say this, I really thought about this saying. A wise person told me, and he really just solved the problem when I had a question. He say most issues in mental health, most issues that people deal with, a lot of it starts with their childhood.
Oh yeah.
And when he said that, I say, wow, because a lot of people that act the way they act, it starts in their childhood. And as we get older, it's going to eventually come out. So I think a lot of things that's dealing with mental health now these days, a lot of it deals with childhood, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. So I feel like it's important for especially kids to be raised up in a healthy manner, because once they be raised up the way they need to, then it's going to make society much better. So I feel like society is the way it is now in this generation because we don't have healthy childhood upbringings like it need to be. So I definitely want to bring that to the people and let them know dealing with mental health, a lot of it deals with childhood and where it all started.
Going back to what you stated, identifying the why.
Yeah.
How early do you, being mental health professionals, how early do you think it's okay for children to start going to therapy?
That is a tough one. I know the law says that as early as 4 going on 5. Now, I think given certain age ranges, different types of therapy and help is more suitable. For an example, a 4 or 5-year-old, really anyone about 8 and under, you can't get to the why of why they're acting the way they are. I mean, you can get to their version of the why, but you can't fully understand because they don't have those skills yet or even that realm of understanding. Now, with the other side of counseling, which is more so the skill building and then the behavior modifications and communication skills, now those skills can be taught, which is of course a form of therapy, a form of counseling, but just the over every aspect of counseling at any age, I personally don't think that's a good idea, or it's as effective,
Yeah, I think the younger is the better when you can reach them at a young age.
Definitely.
Because as they get older, it's still in them.
Right.
So once you start healing that wound when they're young, I think it'll be better as they grow up, because as you become a teenager, they have to deal with their hormones and all different type of stuff, So if you deal with it while they're young, then it helps out a whole lot. So I would say whatever that young child be able to get an understanding, that's when you be able to start making sure that that child get counseling, because that child can understand. But if the child is not understanding, then I wouldn't be able to put that child in counseling just yet. So whenever the understanding start taking place, then I think it can be any age, 4 or 5, whatever. But as long as they understanding, then I think any age would be good for that child, as long as they get the understanding first.
And I want to say really quickly, at very, very, well, at any age, but it's particularly the young ages when they really can't understand things themselves, getting the parents incorporated in counseling, that will also make the world of difference. A lot of times we'll have parents that'll put their kids in counseling. Oh, they have an attitude, they this, they that, just throw them. Okay, mama fine or daddy fine, it's just the kid. And then a lot of times you find out that, not necessarily say that mama and daddy they're wrong or they're bad people, but they also need a bit of the counseling. They also need a bit of those skills, so that you can teach the parent, you can teach the kid, and then when you're gone, that parent will still hold those skills. The parent has the understanding to kind of help their child, when you're not seeing them. I think incorporating the parents, that's a key thing, especially at these very young, delicate ages.
Yeah, I totally agree.
On the same topic, she asked, do you think there's a difference in somebody being medically diagnosed with mental health versus, somebody not being medically diagnosed? And I mean that question as far as age. Is there a difference in 4 years old being medical or 10 years old being medical? Is there a difference in that?
Ooh.
I mean, I would have to say it is a difference when it comes to it. Especially you have those kids brought up, and one of the biggest things that I see in the mental health field is they get diagnosed with ADHD. I feel like a lot of them, not necessarily have ADHD, but that's what they say that they have. But I feel like a lot of it has to do with just sitting down and talking to, whoever it may be, a young boy, young female, if they have that problem, you sit down and communicate with them and you counsel them. You shouldn't be so quick to diagnose them with medication and giving this to them, because there are some that really don't need that medication. They just need some counseling and they need to have some guidance. But it is a difference when it comes to that, between those who diagnose with medication and those who not. So I feel like some of them just may need that guidance and talking to, not necessarily getting put on medication.
What about being intellectually challenged?
Well, yes, I will agree to that then. If they do have a challenge, then that's where it comes in at, because that challenge is there. But some of them is not really facing different challenges like that. So I would just have to say just being able to counsel them and being able to conversate with them. But if that's a big challenge, then that's where you need to go into that area if it's dealing with those type of challenges.
I will say that those are two different things when it comes to being intellectually labeled as this, that, and the third. Because a lot of times you'll have maybe like a 4 or 5-year-old who hasn't met their developmental milestones, but it may not be a intellectual thing. It may just be mama, daddy, auntie, uncle, whoever, they weren't working with that child so that they could meet those developmental milestones. And like I know a lot of times, or not a lot of times, but I know often children, they get labeled, they get these different labels, and when they can't effectively communicate, and it may not even be like a mental thing. It may just be, I never saw mama or daddy effectively communicate. Not saying that it's not in the child, but they just don't have those skills to meet the criteria. You know what I mean? So I feel like with that, it can be completely different, because sometimes you find whenever you start incorporating these skills, they can catch up. Sometimes they can even surpass, the other people in their little age range. But that's just my opinion. Any more questions?
I have a statement.
Okay.
A question. I just listened to what everyone said, and just my experience with COVID. I'm a youth basketball coach. I deal with all different type of kids. Work with different type of kids, and I was one of the staff that they liked. It's because I noticed something that I believe, as a society, as a world, if we would kind of look at everything backwards, we would notice that everything has been messed up from the beginning, because the web started and said, women being emotional. If we take that away and we really tell the truth, the men are the emotional creatures. Women are more logical, nurturing.
Right.
So if we reverse everything and take away the fact that my son's crying, my daughter's crying. Every time I watch my daughter during COVID, she the first one back in the house, laughing, talking to everybody. My son's still upset. Why are you still holding on? And I thought about my father. I thought about when he used to stop crying, boy. Men don't do that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I understand. I had to hold it in. So guess what I did? Fought every day. I had to let it out some way.
Right.
So young men are fighting, they shooting, they doing all kinds of stuff because they're told, women are the emotional ones, when they're not. It's us. Why do you think so many wars? Who start the wars? The men. They territorial. They want everything. They want what another man got. It's the men. So if we reverse the roles, I reverse the roles. I let the boys be emotional. I take them over. I talk to them. I let them out. They talk to me about everything. I don't have to beg them. Marlon, Coach Marlon, can I talk to you? Come to my house every weekend. I give them something that I let them know. Hey, you can be Be this, man. You know, you ain't got to be a sissy. You ain't got to be a punk. You know, just talk to them.
Let it out.
My daughter and her friends, they get upset about something, they argue, then they're right back doing whatever they doing. I don't have to say nothing. But little boys, I got to tell them, talk to them, give them a,
Right.
you know, a shoulder to lean on, they be okay.
That's true.
And you know, if I can say this, dealing with mental health, when it comes to especially males, when they get angry, they really go ahead and, you know, react quickly. And there are so much shooting and killing taking place when it comes to violence in the community. So one thing I get asked all the time, when you kill a person, is that person dealing with mental issue? I would have to say yes, because anger is dealt with mental health. So in order to take a person's life, that is a mental issue. You don't have to be diagnosed, you don't have to have none of that. That person had a mental issue to take a person's life because they dealt with anger, and anger is part of mental health. So I would encourage, you know, whoever may be watching, if they dealing with anger and they just, you know, want to take something out or try to kill somebody because they really want to release their anger, you have to think before really going to go do this. Do I really want to go take this person's life? It can be behind drugs, money, whatever it may be. It's not worth it. But I definitely want to encourage people to get the help dealing with anger, you know, because a lot of killing is taking place because of anger. I'm going to go do this because this person made me mad, or this person owed me money. I'm going to go take this person's life. And a lot of it has to do with music. A lot of people listen to rap music. I like rap music, but at the same time, don't allow that rap music to affect you. So a lot of it has to do with mental health, what they put inside their mind as well. Guns, money, all that, you know. So I really feel like that a lot of people who deal with that, a lot of it comes back from hearing different things and want to go take it out because of what they heard, and now they ready to go apply it. So I definitely want to piggyback on that, because a lot of them deal with their emotions and want to go kill and you know, take a person's life because they angry.
Question: as a counselor, if I was in a session and I asked, is it okay to be angry, what would you say to me?
Me personally, anger is a secondary emotion. So to me, if a person's like, oh, is it okay for me to be angry? Yes, it's okay, but I'm a why person. And knowing that anger is a secondary emotion, I'm gonna ask you like, okay, what made you so angry? And so you'll get to, well, they did this to me. Okay, so why did that make you angry? It's just because. Okay, because what? Because this, because this. Eventually, when you whittle that anger all the way down, it's because somebody did something to them to either offend them, to hurt their feelings, or took some kind of jab at their ego. A lot of times,
that's good. Ego. I
people miss that. People think, oh, this person's just so angry that this, that, and the third. A lot of times it's because it's something deeper.
Right.
A lot of times people have anxiety, depression. You'll see it a lot when anytime somebody has anxiety and depression, that anger always more often than not comes out. So me, if a person's like, oh, is it okay for me to be angry? Yes, but let's talk about why you're angry. That why component is always going to be important in anything that you do.
And what you just said, I like the word when you said ego, because we as mans, the one word you hear about, oh, he got a big ego. So a lot of it, like you say, I like what you said, ego, because a lot of men deal with that is ego. They dealing with their ego, and now they want to take it out and think they the bigger person. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
The definition of mental health to me, to be honest, I really can't give a definition, but I can express what it looks like for someone to be mentally healthy. To me, a person who is mentally healthy, regardless of the situations or the triggers that arise, they're able to function and combat any of those triggers in an effective and a healthy way. I feel like that is the best, the un-Webster dictionary there is to mental health.
Well, to me, mental health to me personally is anything that has a wound that needs healing. I feel like a lot of people need healing, and it's dealing with a lot of mental health. So if you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have anger, that needs healing, and it's a wound there. So anything that needs healing has a mental health symptom some type of way. So that would be my definition dealing with mental health. Well, there you go. Shreveport, let's rise over mental health, dealing with emotions, dealing with mental health. You heard it from us. So let's rise over 2020 going into 2021.
What he said, let's rise. Bye.
Hello, and thank you so much for attending our Health and Healing Week. R.I.S.E. Shreveport is a non-profit organization in Shreveport, Louisiana, and overall we deal with a holistic approach of the community. R.I.S.E. stands for Resilient Individuals Striving for Excellence. Long story short, we want to help educate the community with ways to bounce back. Our five components are physical health, mental health, emotional health, financial health, and spiritual health. 2020 has been a year like no other. We want to give you some tips on how to bounce back into 2021 and to know that things are possible. We thank you for attending. Enjoy your holiday. For more information, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, visit our website at www.riseshreveport.com. And remember, let's rise